Just have to take a quick minute to thank our sponsors, Yellow Dog Paddle, Mackin's Riff and Lips Fishing Trips, NJFishing.com, and 8 Ball Sport Fishing. Also have to thank our supporters, Psycho Jigs, Lip Glue, Nor'easter Hardcore Apparel, Hoggy Time Jigs, The Mimi Sick, and The Gambler. Hello and welcome to episode number 132 of the NJ Multi Species Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Santiago. As always, my partner, Chris Pereira.
Here I am.
Tonight, special guest, Mr. Frank Mihalic, the Blackfish Master. He's coming back. I believe now he's going to be the person who's been on our podcast the most, because this would be his 4th episode, right?
Really?
Is it his 3rd or his 4th? Maybe his 3rd. It's his first live one, though, I think.
Definitely his first live one.
But yeah, Frank will be here within 15 minutes, so if you have your notebooks ready and ready to take your blackfishing notes on Frank, he will be here shortly. Some fishing news.
Well, I just want to say, if you go back to last year, right, well, if you've ever seen Frank at any of his seminars, Frank does seminars every year where he teaches people how to, not just the blackfish, teaches them how to really try to target and land those those really big blackfish. And he did a whole seminar with us as one of our special episodes. Like, we sat in his living room and we did a in-person podcast, and that's still available. But tonight, I think we're going to try to get into like more detail, and that's why we wanted to do it live again, so people could ask those detailed questions that maybe the seminar doesn't get to, or that he didn't get to the other times he's been on the show. So.
Yeah, it makes it fun for me to chase all the questions through the chat log. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions for Frank. Quick news before Frank comes on. Yellow Dog Paddle continues to jig good walleye on the Delaware River. Posted some pictures the other day cracking through some ice. I think probably they'll get one more weekend in on the Delaware. So,
I think the bigger danger is if it rains too much, they might get blown out. But yeah, they won't be dealing with ice, I think, for at least one more weekend. It looked bad for a while. It looked like it was going to come to an end. But,
I think if you really want to get on the Delaware for a walleye, you still have a chance with Yellow Dog Paddle. I don't think it's over yet. So you could definitely call them. And they are booking their trips for next season. So if you're looking for a trip for next season, call Yellow Dog Paddle and get it booked. I already booked a trip with Fin Seeker because the Mayhem contest is going to start all over again. The nightmare will continue on as soon as New Year's Day comes. And yeah, there's certain mistakes I learned last year in certain species I didn't go after. So I'm hiring guides now. I'm done. I'm going after it all.
So you hired Fin Seeker to go shad fishing?
Basically, yeah. Shad fishing, something I don't normally do. And shad is in the Mayhem competition. So yeah, I hired a Fin Seeker trip. I'm taking my kids, my wife. It's going to be cool.
I also didn't shad fish. I haven't done it in a while. I used to do it a little bit. It's not one of my favorite things to do, and I kind of I overlooked it, and it's missed points if you can land a nice one,
But I mean, also to that, this is what this contest does. It does make you do new things. You could ask Bob Darling, because I know he spent just as much time bullhead catfishing as I did. I never spent so much time bullhead fishing in my whole life, but I learned a lot of new local spots to go after. I took my kids with me a million times. It turned out to just be awesome. So, yeah, the Mayhem, we do have it set up. The 2026 Mayhem is set up. You can register. It does have saltwater too. We added 6 saltwater species to bring saltwater, and it's separate from freshwater. But a decent amount of new people have come into the club that weren't in it last year. So there's a lot of new people that have come in.
Yeah, man, I kind of hope, I know it'll never happen, but I kind of hope, like, can you imagine if we had every angler in the state was like,
oh, well, that would be
registered in this and like competing. And then you'd really know, because you're always going to have people that don't join this kind of stuff. And then they just sit in the back, they sit at the top of the bleachers, just like telling everyone, oh yeah, I could have beat that fish. Oh yeah, I could have got more points than that. I could have won. Yeah, I just did, and it's just, I don't know. I laugh at them, but it's still annoying. Like, just
it is
join.
Annoying. Or when they join and they say, I'm going to join, but I'm not going to try. Well, whatever. Yeah, me neither. I tried, and I didn't win, but I did try, and I did it. Like I said, I got to go down to South Jersey with the Kennedys, go after snakeheads for the first time. They came up here. They got to go after some species they never went for. Got to take Thomas Wyatt out on Lake Pacon. I think twice we went this year, trying to get some of those night hybrids. So you kind of like form into the network of mayhem, and people start like strategizing of what they need to go for, and they start going after shit together. It's really awesome.
And I want to add just something to this as well, because I know a lot of people are like, there's 2 reasons. So I hear a lot of people like, oh yeah, I'm not really gonna do. I don't fish enough. I don't have a chance. I'm not good enough. I don't catch enough nice fish. Whatever the excuse is, they don't think they can win.
Yeah,
the whole thing. So 2 things I just want to say to that. The one is trying to help set this thing up so that there's all kinds of prizes and stuff, and payouts for single species, like what Fast Eddie did a couple years ago in his contest. Random prizes.
It is Fast Eddie. It is Fast Eddie doing it here now.
You're right, exactly. And there's other stuff that any get-togethers that happen. It'll be run through this. It's the easiest way. Even if it's just like an ice fishing get-together or whatever, we'll do it through this. And so it's not really an excuse not to join up just because you don't think you can win. The second thing is that even if you don't think you can win, it's going to make you a better angler. No matter which way you look at it, if you join and you try to compete in some fashion, even if you just become better at one species at a time, it's going to make you a better angler. It's basically going to force you to become a better angler, because 100%. You're trying to compete 100%. In a way that you wouldn't before.
There was fishing sessions that I would have usually wrapped it up in 2 hours that turned into 8, because I just couldn't go. I couldn't give up. Like, I had to, and also for people like, oh well, I don't fish that much. I don't fish for this. I don't fish for. I don't carp fish. That's one thing. Like, I don't do. I won carp. I won the carp. Like, things like that just happen. Rainbow trout. I won the rainbow trout. Not fishing for rainbow trout at all. Chris was there. We were fishing for lake trout and smallmouth, and I won and salmon. Won the rainbow trout. So most of the shit that I did win was on accident. The only thing I won that I actually went directly after was the striper with Chuck. But yeah, and I'm really now excited to go after the saltwater. Saltwater has 6 species, and one of them's weakfish. We put the weakfish in to try to get South Jersey people more involved. Definitely have an advantage in the weakfish category. But that's something I'm definitely looking forward to going after. And now that fluke are worth points in the saltwater, I could go to the beach. I live closer to the surf than I do of any lake. So I'll probably be surf fishing for fluke. I mean, and then even if you don't fish, we've integrated Fast Eddie's pig roast into it. So everyone gets to go to the pig roast. There's monthly wheel spins. There's all the miniature contests that Kevin does. He did a hybrid striped bass one, a walleye one, a bass, a regular bass one. This year he's going to kick the season off with a trout opening day one. So all the members of Mayhem are going to be entered into a opening day trout contest, and the three biggest measured send-in trout are going to win prizes. And that's how he's going to open it up. And Fast Eddie's going to open it up with a wheel spin. So, I mean, even if you don't fish, there's going to be stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, and just to be, I think there's a little confusion about actually joining. So just to be clear, if you're listening to this, and we're going to try to do some videos to help out, to show how you do it. But it's pretty simple once you see it. It's an app. It's called Fishing Chaos. That's the app that pretty much all online virtual fishing contests are run with. And they have all the software within their program to, when you submit a fish, you know, it makes sure it follows the rules. Kevin double checks it as the guy running the contest. When you go to sign up, you basically download this app called Fishing Chaos, and within that, there will be a local, you'll have your location on, so they'll know you're in New Jersey, and there'll be the NJ Multi Species Mayhem. What's it called on? Is it called the club on there? Is it called like
it's called
circuit or something?
No, it's called the club now.
Okay. So you join that. It costs $35. It's going to ask you if you want subscriptions to like the Fishing Chaos. That's only if you do other contests.
You say no.
Through the thing. So you just say no unless you're one of these guys, like the kayak guys. They do a lot of different contests on this, and they have a subscription. They save a little bit of money through the year. You say no to all that. It's just the $35 for joining the Multi Species Mayhem Club, and then you're in. But then you just have to. There's tournaments tab under that, and you just have to click register, I believe, and fill out your name or something for freshwater and saltwater.
I did it for my wife. It did. It was fairly. It just says register now, $35. You click it,
yeah,
and then you make a profile. You can you put your name in. It asks you if you want to make a profile picture, and then once you're in, you could see all the species. You get notifications if someone enters a fish. You get notifications when your fish status changes. If Kevin sends a message out to everyone in the contest, you get notifications. And you're able to scroll through this entire app and see all the fish entered. Every species, it shows you how many. I think it shows the top 7 of every species. And being able to see the saltwater is going to be cool. And like I said, I think it's going to now push people down to go on party boats and charter boats. They're going to go after a blackfish. They're going to go after a sea bass. They're going to go fluking. It's going to do other things, and then you're going to have to decide if how you're going to split your time between the freshwater or the saltwater. Am I going to do? We know, like, I'm doing both, but
just have fun with it.
Do one. Yeah, some people might just go bass fishing and fluke fishing, like Roger Ike might do that. We designed it in a way that you can do that. If you want to join it and just bass fish, that's fine. You could try to win bass, and that's that. It's just that easy. We've tried to cater it in a way that there should be no reason for you to not join, because anytime you're fishing in the state of New Jersey and you have a line in the water, there's a possibility you could win any moment, 24/7.
There is zero reason not to join.
Zero reason, unless you can't.
You don't fish at all, and you don't want to do anything fun ever. And
if you can't afford $35, then you shouldn't join. But if you can, there's no reason.
You also shouldn't be living in New Jersey, because
you shouldn't be able to even see this podcast if you don't have $35.
Yeah, what are you paying for the internet for? Get the fuck out.
How do you have a computer? All right,
I think Frank's ready.
Yeah, it looks like Frank is ready. I'm going to see if Deuce can clip what we just did. We'll make it a Mayhem tutorial and put it on YouTube or some shit.
Okay.
He said, sure. Eddie Mackin, I think, is wrapped up for the season. Mackin just shot a bear this week. Congratulations on that. I think he's pretty much done fishing now. I'm not even going to pretend that I think he's done. So if you're looking for an early spring lake pack-on trip, we know the night fishing and the crappie bite gets heated up on a pack-on real early, and Eddie gets booked up on those quick. You want to book one of those for next year, it is time to call them. And I do have to say, a lot of these guys, when you book them early, they'll give you a deal. If you call them and book them for next season, they'll give you a better deal. That's just the way it is. You could tell them I said that too and blame me for it.
And I'm only going to say this once. You said that night fishing and the pan fishing starts early. It starts a lot earlier than most people realize. Like by the time you see the posts online,
as soon as the ice is gone, the fishing's awesome. Right away.
It can be for sure. And like my point, well, once you see if you wait till you see the posts to go fishing or book a trip or whatever you're going to do, like you're like 2 to 3 weeks later.
And that's something me and Chris could do, like after work with our boat. And sometimes you have 200 fish days of crap. Like it's just crappie after crap. It's the best crappie fishing of the whole year. They're very high in the water column. It's just if you want a crappie fish, good crappie fishing, definitely I would call Mackin now. But let's go get Frank Mihalic and talk about Blackfish now, right, which is also in the. Is Frank joining this to try to win?
I don't know. Why don't you go get him in here and then
we will be right back.
He's just sitting there playing with himself, waiting for you.
We'll be right back. All right, so we are back, and we do have our guest here. As I said, I think he is now the guest that's been on this podcast the most. I'd like to welcome back Mr. Frank Mihalic, the Blackfish Master, which I refer to him as. Frank, welcome back to the NJ Multi Species podcast.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Chris.
Now, just to take this all the way back and put it in perspective, when we first met you, I think like we were jumping on like Tog party boats, and Chris was using like some bass rod that he had found, and I was probably using like a rental pole. And now, I mean, over the evolution of just knowing you, we have these fancy Tog-specific setups now, and we go on only certain boats, and it's just changed everything by that much. Do you know that you have that kind of influence on people?
Nope.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I mean,
I'm just doing my thing, bro. And honestly, if people ask me for something, I'm more than glad to tell them. I really like seeing people succeed in this game. I really do.
I feel like I remember Joe almost buying the wrong reel or something, and you just obliterated him over the phone.
I was gonna buy an Abbott. And Frank told me, a lever drag in front. No. Star drag, fucking star drag. And I said, okay. And then he explained why, and it makes sense. Frank, you want to explain that now? Like, why do you like the star drag so much more?
Yeah, my buddy Mark loves Abbott's. He fishes with a lever drag. But the thing with a lever drag is during the course of the day, every time you throw that lever, it drops to the bottom, you throw it back. A lever drag, the throw is extremely long. Whereas on a star drag reel, if you flip the lever, boop, you flip it, you're free spool, it hits the bottom, boop, you flip it, you're locked up. When you flip it and you're locked up, your star drag is set exactly where it was in the beginning of the day. Unless you grab it and turn that star, your star drag stays the same. Whereas the lever drag, a lot of times when you tend to drop it all the way off and move it up and drop it off and move it up, sometimes the lever drag, it seems like it sometimes loosens up throughout the day. And if that drag is a little bit loose that time, I mean, you guys have seen me just hammering just on a big fish, man, when the fish has the rod, vertical going down into the water. That reel is not giving an inch of drag. That thing is locked up tighter than I don't know what. And that's where I want it, because my whole system is around the breaking strength of the reel and the line and the rod and the knot and the top shot and the leader and the hook. Everything is a balanced system that it should be able to lock up and hold that fish.
Right, and I mean, if that fish takes any kind of drag out at the beginning of the fight, and it's a big fish, like it's most likely over for you. The fish wins.
Matt, you know what? If usually when you swing on a big fish, think about this. When you swing on a big fish, when you lift that rod, the blackfish comes with you. When you swing and you start cranking, he's coming with you. It's like you pull him and he comes up and you're moving him a little bit. And then he's like, oh, I don't want to go that way. Boom. And now you need to be locked up. So you have that swing. You have like 10, 15, maybe 20 feet to get on that fish before he says, oh, I don't want to go that way. And then it's game on. So that's where you stop and you hold them.
I guess what I meant to say, the way I said it was not accurate, but if that fish pulls you down and your drag isn't tight enough and he starts taking drag right back down while he's still that low, he's gonna take you into the rocks if it's a big fish.
Correct. And I know some excellent black fishermen. And we were recently, when we were up in Rhode Island, not with you, but in another trip that I was on, I was with one of my very good friends, and this guy's a hell of a fisherman. He's got a lot of big fish. And we were trying a new accurate reel, an accurate ascender. And we put it on, and I was walking down the hallway pulling the drag, and I said, tighten up the drag as hard as you could. And he tightened it, and I'm like, that's not tight. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? It's as tight as it can be. And I went back and grabbed the reel, and I grabbed the handle with one hand and the star with the other. And I got about another half a turn on that reel. I was like, here, now it's locked up. And he looked at me and he was like, I never did that. I said, well, it's kind of what I thought when you were telling, because I know he fishes Oceania jiggers, and he's telling me he has fish turn around and burn them right back into the wreck. I'm like, oh, you better put some vice grips on that thing or something. I mean, just correct, but like I said, two hands, you hold the handle with one and the star with the other. You'd be amazed the amount of torque you can get on that thing to tighten that really up.
Oh, yeah. When you get
people in here saying hi to Frank, Jen Wong says hello.
Hey, Jen.
Right, well, for some reason, my iPad ain't working.
When you get towards the end of like the maximum drag on those star drag reels, just a little bit is a lot of drag, because when you near that like maximum drag, it's a very little amount that makes a big difference. And I just also wanted to mention real quick, like when it comes to tog fishing, it seems like no matter how good the angler is at everything else, tog is just kind of different. It's different than almost anything else that you could do around here. And no matter how good of an angler someone is, if they haven't been tog fishing a lot, they just, I don't know if they're humbled is the right word. And myself included, I can remember when I first started blackfishing, I wasn't, I was pretty new to angling in general, probably like 6 or 7 years in. But even that, like I considered myself a quick learner, and, anything I tried to fish for, I picked up fairly quickly. Blackfish just embarrassed me more than almost any other fish that I learned to fish for the longest amount of time.
They are embarrassing.
People have so much, honestly, people have so much to say. Everybody is so quick to give advice. And half the time people say something, I think they're joking around. Like I'll listen to something and I'm like, on one hand, I know they're joking around. They're just being like sarcastic or silly or whatever. And on the other hand, I hear people say things and I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, that's just stupid. But in reality, it's just stupid because the way I fish is kind of nuts. Like I said, my system is all measured out, man. I am locked down. I'm swinging that fish. When I get that fish 20 feet off the bottom and he decide he wants to go back, the rod butt is in my hip. My left hand is on my foregrip. And when that thing goes down, I'm going to bow down to the fish. And when he's sitting there when he's sitting there dogging and it's just thump, 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 it's not going to be too long. He's going like this. And what you're feeling is the pulsations from the tail. There's another thing. People say, oh, it's shaking his head. No, he's not, bro. He's not shaking his head. He's not a largemouth bass. This fish is good tail. The tail's going like this. You're feeling the pulsations from the tail. Eventually, that fish is going to stop going like this, and he's going to go, whoop, and he's going to start to make a circle, and then you're going to kind of get him coming your way again. When he's starting to coming up and you get him up a little bit more, I'm going to pull a Dennis Mullen forth, and I'm going to drop a click off my drag. And I'm going to get him coming. He's going nice and smooth. I'm going to drop a couple more clicks off my drag. And then I'm going to get him coming nice. And this way, if I have him 3/4 of the way up and he decides he wants to make a run, okay, I took off some of that pressure so he can go a little bit if he wants.
Yeah, and the closer that fish is to you, the more chance your line is going to break if that fish turns and pulls hard enough. If you don't back off a little bit, there's just that much less. Obviously, there's that much less line in the water.
But the braid has no stretch in it anyway. The only stretch you have is your top shot.
Yeah, but even that distance, I feel like, makes a big difference. Like if you have 50 feet of line out with the water pushing on it, like that's all a shock absorber, even though the braid doesn't stretch, right?
Especially
if
with
that
the
fish
angle.
is like 5 feet under the surface, there's going to be a lot more pressure on those knots in that line if that thing turns and goes. And anyone that hasn't blackfished, they just have this power in them that, I don't know, pound for pound is right up there with, I don't know, just about anything except maybe a tuna or something like that. But
yeah, they can turn the turbo on, man. But the thing is with the blackfish, it's a straight up and down fight where all of a sudden you get him away from the structure, he wants to get back to the structure.
Yeah.
And like I said, when he's going down and all of a sudden when he decides that's not working and all of a sudden he changes his angle and he starts, then you're starting to get him a little bit. And then it's pretty much, you might get him coming again and he might dog a little bit again. And that's usually about it. I mean, even the biggest fish, you might get a couple really good dogging sessions out of them, and it seems like it lasts like 30 seconds. In reality, it's probably like 10 seconds, but it just seems like an eternity.
I noticed. Did you ever notice that, Joe? Like when you're recording like a fish fight, the person who's fighting like the big fish like thinks it's like 5 times as long as that, and then you look at the video like, dude, that was a minute long. That wasn't 8 minutes long.
I feel like I can't breathe when I'm reeling in blackfish. Like I can't breathe until it's in the net. Once it's hooked, I just can't breathe. They make me real nervous, very intimidating. And Frank, like I was telling Chris, I feel like I don't know if you get this, but like you get in a zone, like you're like, oh shit, like your confidence hits you, and you're like, I'm on it. Like I know the bite. But then there's other times where you're just like, holy shit, I have no chance. Everyone's catching fish around me. And you just like inside feel hopeless. Like the fish has driven you to like a point of breaking. Like, you ever get that? Or are you just always in the zone?
I'm always patient. I'm always patient. I'm not worried about everybody around me catching roasters. I'm just not playing that game. I'll put down nice, like, get a nice white legger about 3 inches across. I'll just take that thing and, hook them up and step on them and drop them to the bottom. And if it's not getting the bites that I want, if it's not getting the action that I want, the next thing I'll do is maybe I'll put down 2 little crabs. I'll put down 2 little 2-inch long crabs, and I'll cut the legs off of one side, and I'll put a hook in that one side of the crab. So the hook's going in one side of the legs, and the other side of the legs are kind of hanging out a little bit. So it's just one small hook on a crab. And sometimes if I'm fishing a V rig, I'll put 2 little crabs on like that, and I'll give them something a little bit different. Well, maybe I'll just fish a half of a large crab, just a half with 2 hooks in it.
Even you talking about the bait, like you would think that when you first start blackfishing, which I did, you just take the piece of crab and put it on the hook. You just get it on there. Mm-hmm. You taught us how to properly put the crab on the hook. I could say like with 100% certainty, that makes an enormous difference. Like now if my bait even breaks apart when I'm putting it on, I'll change it. It has to be on the exact proper way, or I won't even drop it. And that's also from you.
Yeah, when the guts start getting pecked out of them, whether it's from the burgalls or, usually I'll step on that crab a couple times and I'll flip them into water. And usually where it hits the water, there's a little bit of the cheese washing out of it. But if that thing made it to the bottom, if I reeled it up, I'm putting a new crab on. There's no way I don't care how good that crab looks. There's no way I'm putting that crab back down again.
And you go through the big arm socket and out the small arm socket?
It depends on how much current there is. If there's really not a lot of current, if I'm fishing in like 80, 100 foot of water, ideally, I would like to take a crab about maybe 3 or 4 inches wide. I'll cut the claw and like the next two legs back. So I'll leave the back 2 legs on each side of the crab. And then I'll take the hook and I'll put it in the big hole and then out one of the other holes each side. And then I'll step on it and I'll flip it out.
Yeah, stepping on it, I'd never seen that. I don't even think you talk about that in your seminars. And then when I was on the boat with you, I saw you doing it and said, what the hell? And it seemed to work because you were just embarrassing me there to where I almost wanted to move.
One of the biggest mistakes I see guys make, and they don't even realize they're making it. They just think the blackfish keeps stealing their crab and there's nothing they can do about it. But then you watch them put the crab on the hook and they're not careful about where they thread that hook through, and they're breaking the crab in all different parts, and they're cracking it and they're forcing the hook through and it's breaking. And it's on the hook, and they drop it down and then they get I think I'm getting tapped. Oh, I don't feel it anymore. It's gone, bro. Like you broke half the crab putting it on the hook. You got to, I mean, I kind of realized it real early on that if you don't thread, like Joe said, if you're putting that crab on and it starts breaking or it's cut wrong or the crab's too small and you cut it in half and it cut too close to the legs and it broke, like it's just going to get stolen. Unless the fish are just down there committing suicide, it's going to get hit once and ripped off, break off, and that's the end of it. You're just wasting time.
And the bigger fish, sometimes they just come up and sometimes the fish will just pick your crab up and swim away, and like you feel your sinker dragging across the bottom like you're fluke fishing. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, get tight, go, because he's on there. Because little fish don't drag the sinker like that. But more often than not, you're just going for that. You're just going to get that classic, that just womp, womp, womp. Usually when that happens, I try to wait till like 3 or 4. I wait till he's real, because again, it's a nice crab. He's got, sometimes you might get 1, 2 and he'll take off with it. So if I'm just sitting down there getting really pounded, I'll wait till, if I'm fishing a really big crab, I'll wait till 4. If I'm fishing a smaller crab, I'll usually wait till 2, if that makes sense.
And and is it fair to say, and if it's not, just correct me, but is it fair to say to err on, like if someone's having trouble hooking blackfish, right? They're like, every time I drop the crab down, I feel the hit. When I feel that good hit, I set the hook, I miss it. Is it safe to say to give them the advice of like, hey, err on the side of waiting a little bit longer? It's not like a lot of the other fishing you'll do where if you wait to set the hook, the fish, you're going to miss the fish. It's
the first thing I would honestly say, and this is something that is so easily overlooked, and it's for jig fishing and rig fishing. Always make sure you have a sharpening stone with you and check the tips on your hooks. Because if all of a sudden, if you're missing fish, check your points. One might be broken off. It might be rolled off. It might just not be sticky. And I mean, when you take that hook and you put that hook in your thumbnail like this, you should be able to pull that hook should dig into your thumbnail. Yeah. If that hook drags across your thumbnail, it's not sharp enough. That thing's got to be digging in.
And you're fishing in rocks, like it's going to happen. That hook ain't going to last all day. There's no chance. There's just no chance.
Frank,
it's so basic, but try, just don't ignore the basics. Just check it out.
No, and you know what? I very rarely see anyone sharpen their hook. I almost never see that. I actually carry a hook file with me, and sometimes I don't even go in my bag to take it out. until I'm like, wait a second, like this hook can't be sharp anymore. Sure enough, it's still sharp. Like it's still sharp. It's something that I probably would use for other types of fishing, but not this. And sometimes I forget that I have a file in my bag even, but I very rarely
little
see
stone, just a little sharpening stone.
Yeah.
And I have some of them in that are old, but I always, if I don't have one in my pocket, the captain usually has one out on the table. And I just, sometime during the course of the day, I'm going to miss one. I'm going to miss two. I'm going to miss three. I'm like, wait a minute, hang on. Let me really check these out. And sure enough, I'll usually have one point that's shot, or maybe the point on the jig. All of a sudden, the jig tip is shot,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about jigs because you don't talk about jigs that much. Even in your seminars, you don't even really touch on jigs. And I've seen you on boat where there's a hot jig bite going on, and you're still just patiently waiting there with the rig. Do you like to jig?
Chris, can I fish a jig?
I was going to jump in, but I wanted to let you answer. Joe, I've seen him use the jig up in Rhode Island. I could vouch for him. He knows what he's doing, and he enjoys it.
I can honestly say, yeah, I do. I think there's a time and a place for it, and I think it really depends on the structure. I mean, again, if I'm fishing Reef Site 11, really, really high confidence, big fish spot for me. Last week we were fishing there, man, and we were fishing on a really, really big piece. It's like an old ocean liner or something. Man, I was hitting the bottom. The current was taking my sinker like under something. Several times I had fish, and I had him like 15, 20 feet off the bottom, and he still got wrapped around something. And it was a piece that I don't know that I've ever fished this particular piece there before, but I really would rather not fish it again, if you know what I mean. But we fish a lot, there's a lot of tugboats there, but there's also a lot of crazy things. Like there used to be, they used to dump subway cars there. They were old aluminum subway cars, like from the New York subway system. But the aluminum is all gone now. So only thing you have left is the wheels and the carriers. It's just a little bit of stuff here and there. So you're kind of fishing much smaller stuff than you used to. But if I'm fishing something that is not too high of a profile, and if I feel like I'm just literally not getting a sniff, if I have a crab in the bottom and it's not getting touched, then I'll fish a jig. More if I'm fishing inshore. If I'm fishing like Wildwood Reef, I'm probably fishing a jig all day long. If I'm fishing Cape May Reef, I'm kind of going half and half. But it really, if I'm getting bit with the rig and if I'm fishing a high profile piece, I'm probably going to stick with the rig. If I'm getting bit. If I'm just flat out not getting bit, then I'm probably going to go with a jig.
Is it safe to say that if someone right now, this day and age, is still just not even bringing a tog jig with them, it's not the right move? Like you should have both with you. You never know what you're going to kind of encounter.
I don't really tell anybody what I think they should do. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
I know guys that are so good with the rig. They're so good with the rig. I'm nobody to tell them anything. But I know that over the past couple of years, after I've given this guy a couple of jigs, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, now all of a sudden he's fishing the jigs more and more and more. So we all evolve. Some of us evolve a little slower. Bro, the first guy I ever saw fish a blackfish jig was Nick Tenero on Waterproof, probably 10 years ago. Nick was fishing like a little G. Loomis smallmouth bass. Right now, Nick, exceptionally skilled angler. Nick was fishing a half-ounce unnamed plain jig on this little smallmouth bass G. Loomis rod. The crabs that day were they shedded so much. They were like Jello. They were like, bleh. He would take a little piece of it, put it on this jig, flip it up current. It would come down, boom. The dude absolutely schooled everybody on the boat that day. And I was like, here it is 10 years later. And I'm telling you, that was the first day I saw somebody fish a blackfish jig and smoke them. But Nick is not an ordinary angler either. But yeah, that's if you're good with it, man, you're good with it.
Joe tried to make fun of me for using a bass rod for a togfish jig at the beginning of when you first came on.
Well,
that's how it started.
We got to pick on you at something. I was going to pick on Joe's hat, but I don't want to make him cry or anything.
Why? It's my nor'easter hat.
Yeah, but it's a winter hat and you're in a house.
My wife doesn't turn the heat on in here. She makes me suffer.
Good.
It's like torturous. Frank, I want to ask you this question. It might be sensitive to some people, so I don't want to hurt their feelings.
I got a Christmas tree behind me. You see that?
You have a weird camera that follows your face around. What kind of technology is that?
I don't know.
Do you feel that
it's my iPad, but I just had to load meetings up on it again. But I know I did a podcast on this thing before, and for some reason I had to load the Microsoft version of it on there again, and it worked, and everything's okay. So just a little.
I want to ask you this question, and it might be sensitive to some people. I don't want to hurt their feelings, but
you won't. Don't worry.
Do you feel that if a person was specifically looking to catch a bigger blackfish, that the Atlantic Highlands, Point Pleasant, those spots are not really the spots to go out of anymore to really go on a monster hunt?
Man, there's big fish everywhere. I mean, look at all the big fish that are up in Rhode Island. You know, if Rhode Island's different too. If you want to fish inshore, there's a ton of fish inshore. If you have a day when you can get offshore of Rhode Island, if you can like get over towards Block Island, get on some area that doesn't get a lot of pressure, that's probably your biggest chance of getting a really big fish. But, you know, fish have tails and they swim around, man. I mean, you're fishing out of Atlantic Highlands, but on the other side of the Raritan Bay is New York. So, you have a whole lot of bays and stuff up there. There's a lot of big fish around. I think it's a matter of being able to get on a piece of structure that hasn't been pounded too much. I just learned for the way that I fish, and if I start fishing a whole lot, if I end up having a trip a Saturday and a Sunday, the only way I can make it is if I go stay at my shore house, which is 40 minutes from the boat. So instead of being an hour and 20 from the boat, I'm 40 minutes. So I can go down the night before, sleep in Ventnor, be in Cape May early in the morning, go fishing, make it back to Ventnor to get some sleep and go back to Cape May in the morning. So by saving that, 45 minutes to and from, it gives me enough time to sleep and recover that I can fish a couple days in a row.
I mean, that makes sense. Is there an actual scientific thing to it though? Because I've seen some studies that have like the Cape May Delaware region showing that the blackfish grow faster there than anywhere else.
And it's funny you're bringing this up because I often have people, I'll have somebody say something like, "Oh, it's a dinosaur. Oh, it's a 10-pounder. It's 40 years old." I'm like, "No, bro, it would be a 40-pounder if it was 40 years old. It's a 10-pounder. It's like 10, 11 years old." And he's like, "Well, how do you know that?" Well, I know a few really close friends and a few really close captains that have had the otoliths checked on these fish, and the average fish between like 12 and 20 pounds usually matches within a year or two to the pound. So if it's like an 18-pound fish, it'll go between 17 and 19. If it's a 20-pound fish, it'll go like 18 to 21 in our area, in the Cape May Delaware area. Because Cape May, there's been times when we're on an offshore trip and we're out there fishing and we turn around and all of a sudden we see all the Delaware boats coming up on us. I mean, all the Ocean City, Maryland boats. So sometimes we're fishing really south and sometimes they're fishing really north. But that area, that water definitely stays warmer all year round. So those fish feed 12 months a year so that they grow 12 months a year. Where when you start to get up around that Rhode Island area or even North Jersey, from the Hudson River with all the cold water coming out, you do have several months of the year where those fish are kind of going into a little bit of a hibernation. Maybe they're just not eating as much as they normally do, but it definitely affects the growth, and they do grow a little bit slower. The further north you go, the longer the hibernation period in the winter, where they kind of take a little nap in the cold water, and the less they will grow. But that's not as important as you get further and further offshore. The further and further you get offshore up there, the warmer the water is at the bottom, and they become acclimated to it, and they eat and grow year round.
And would that one pound pretty much equivalent to 1 inch in the length too?
I don't know about the inches, but I do know about the pounds.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. All I know, the one I caught was 15 and a half pounds, and it was 28 or 28 and a half inches long. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess at some point it could be an inch per pound, but obviously it's not an inch per pound all the way through.
I don't think it's an inch per pound with blackfish, but I do, like I said, I do know that I've seen this on more than a few. On more than a few that I've seen that pounds per year tends to really, really hold true. Especially, I've seen so many fish between 10 and 20 pounds that have had the OLS checked, and they always tend to be close to that range. So to have somebody say, "Oh, well, recently I had some wise ass guy, oh, I've been lying all my life," then yeah, bro, you've been lying all your life. Maybe not I didn't say that, but I just kind of stopped, because it's like, this guy obviously knows everything anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, when guys that have, I'm not guessing, I had these fish checked. I know the fish are big. I know the fish are ugly, but they're really not dinosaurs. I hate to tell you.
So have you ever caught a fish off a piece of wreck that you know for sure is a fish you caught before?
Yeah.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Really? How many
just
times?
By the mark?
We've caught fish. I've caught fish that had my buddy's rig in his mouth from earlier, and it was like a 10-pound fish that he busted him off. An hour later, I caught that fish.
Oh shit!
And some people will say, "Oh, it's because they're dumb, and this fish is smart, and this fish is dumb." And I tell you the same thing every time. Like, fish are not smart. Just because a fish bit a hook, it doesn't know what a hook is. It just becomes conditioned. So this blackfish that your buddy hooked first, the fish bit it. Something was wrong. It thrashed. Its instincts caused it thrash. It broke free. It probably shook that hook right off. It doesn't know what the hell that was. It still wants to eat. It's still hungry. It came back around and looked for food again. Like a fish, and you'll hear this about like carp and trout. Oh, they're so smart. They're not. I've seen guys catch the same trout twice, land it, take a picture, release it, and catch the same one an hour later. Like, it just depends on the environment and what the fish is conditioned to and stuff. But
when you're talking about, let's take the rail car for example. If you fish a specific piece of the rail car that and you have dialed in, and this specific piece, right? When you keep going back there to fish it, are you continuously usually fishing for the same fish over and over, or are they constantly moving around, or do they get caught and then go right back to the same piece?
They're always moving around, Joe. I think there are several reef sites we have down here. We have Wildwood, which is 6 miles offshore, kind of north of Cape May Reef. And then we have Cape May Reef, which is 5 miles further offshore, but also pretty well to the south. And then you have Reef Site 11, which is 20 miles off of Lewis, Delaware. So you've got fish that, move from here to here pretty readily. They don't really move from here to here too much. But that Reef Site 11, it's so unique because in the mouth of Delaware Bay, the way I look at it anyway, I think Delaware Bay is massive. I mean, it's massive. There's a lot of structure in there. I mean, there's not only just, the rock pot, the rock wall at Lewis, and there's the lighthouses and this and that, but I'm sure that there's a lot of tog that go up there and they move in for whatever reason and they feed. And then when the water gets cold enough, they decide to start pushing down into deeper water. So eventually they work their way out into the channel, and then they follow the channel down and they run into Reef Site 11. That's the only reason why I can think Reef Site 11 constantly is being replenished with these good fish. Blackfish don't always go inshore to spawn in the spring. Like if you have a really, really big blackfish and if he's living at a wreck that's 30 or 40 miles offshore, those fish will live on that wreck. That male will live on the wreck. There will be females that live on that wreck. And as the females swimming up towards the surface, the males we've seen males literally nudging these fish while they're spawning out there 40 miles offshore. So how can that be? Because probably the same guy that said that the 20-pound fish was 40 years old is the same guy that said blackfish have to come inshore to spawn, right? Well, the smaller ones obviously do, but it's not always. These fish that live offshore they're in like their own little world. They live there, they spawn there. I don't know how the eggs come inshore. I don't really understand all that, but I do know, speaking to guys that live their whole life on the water and they're telling me that this happens, it really lets me kind of piece these things together.
How do you feel? I know, like you just mentioned before, the roaster's not your game, filling the cooler. You're there looking for a monster. That's your thing. How do you feel about people around you when they're just filling coolers with roaster-sized fish? Do you not care? And also, to add to that, would you like to see stricter blackfish regulations to maybe tighten up?
I'm there to help them. I mean, you guys have been on my trips before. I want everybody to go home with a big bag of fish. I'm probably going to let most of my females go, but I catch a lot of male roasters, and I just, no problem, man. I'll stick a knife in them and throw them right in the cooler. I don't care. That's another thing for people to condemn anybody, or to people to say, "Oh, you released that fish, thank you." It's like, why are you thanking it? He did not give you that fish, bro. That's his fish. If he wants to keep it, he can keep it. If he wants to release it, he can release it. It's like the people, they get so self-righteous and so pompous. And I just, like, Toggen's not supposed to be like that, man. It's not supposed to have all that drama. Like, let's just go fishing. You know what I mean?
No fishing.
I mean,
I was just curious.
There's always somebody on the boat that's having a bad day. And I don't want that person to go home without a full bag of fish. They spent all the money that maybe I was hot that day. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe it's Christmas Eve and I need a bag of fish because it's Christmas Eve at Frank's house. We got a lot of people coming and we got to make sure we have our fish dinner.
I mean, Joe gets offended when people kill blackfish for some reason.
I don't get offended. I don't personally like doing it myself, but I don't care if you do. But it's interesting because, he loves to catch these giant blackfish. That's his thing. Do stricter regulations and more practice of release of the fish, put more giant fish out there.
It'll take some time. I usually in the springtime, I let all the females go. And in the fall, personally, I like everything over 7 pounds, I let go if it'll go.
I have no idea how to tell what it even is. How do you know that?
Oh,
it looks different.
If you look at a fish that is like dark gray on the top and white on the bottom, that's a male. If it's got like a big white chin and a big gray head and a big white spot on it, that's definitely a male. If it's like brown mottled, that's a female.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And I just want to also say this, and I don't know about for Tog specifically. Maybe it's different. Maybe it depends on the species. But generally speaking, if you take a small sample like an 80-acre, 100-acre lake, right? And they do this all the time. Like some private owner will have a 100-acre lake or something like that, and they'll want to turn it into a trophy fishery for whatever, largemouth bass, bluegills, whatever it is, freshwater wise at least. When they want to do that, they don't release everything. It's not a catch and release lake. It's a specifically keep a certain range, like a slot range. They keep those fish. They take them out because if they let everything go, you're going to have like a stunting situation.
Yeah, you don't have enough food for the big ones to really grow.
You're right. So obviously in saltwater, it's immeasurably bigger than a lake like that. But I got to imagine that
That's a good question. If anyone can answer that, is there a stunting on saltwater fishing?
I'm not saying that it is happening, because obviously
No,
there's
I'm asking if it could happen. I guess it could. If there's not enough food, it's going to happen.
I think going back years and years ago, like going back into like 1990, when I was fishing on the Big Mohawk 3 out of Shark River with Gary Fagan and with Chris Dos Santos's dad. He was the mate. Back then, we would go fish the rattlesnake in like October, November, December. They would fish the rattlesnake all the time. Shrewsbury Rocks. And all of a sudden, one day I go there, and it's like, I remember it was getting near Christmas time. It was probably around now, because I remember Christmas carols, where Christmas music was playing on the radio, and there was Christmas lights on the antennas. And one day we're driving, man, and we're going like we're going north, but all of a sudden we're going like north and east, and our normal like 45-minute steam, all of a sudden we're steaming for like an hour and a half. We went to a place called 17 Fathoms. Now, when we fished inshore, like literally, if you saw a 6-7 pounder, that was good. At the rocks, 6-7 pounder, that was a big fish. All of a sudden, we went to 17 Fathoms, and I was woefully unprepared. I was fishing 30-pound Andy. I dropped at the bottom. I would hook up with a fish, and I just got absolutely owned like all day long. I think I ended up with like 6 blackfish in my bucket. They were all between like 5 and 8 pounds. But there were fish that there was so much stretch in the line. I would set the hook, try to reel the fish in, and the fish would just go, and it wouldn't even take line off the reel. It was just like stretch in the mono, and he was in. And so what you're saying, I think, like inshore, a shit ton of small fish. The bigger fish tend to spread out a little bit.
Did you, Frank? Do you see that Blackfish neon light behind Joe there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's the biggest blackfish Joe's ever caught.
That's badass. Congratulations, Joe, your new PB.
Now, my new PB came with you, and then I haven't been back with you since, because the weather just keeps canceling everything.
Man, I am on the bad side of the cycle this year, brother. I'll tell you what. Whew.
We had 2 fishmonger blackfish trips, both canceled, and they were totally separated. So we thought we'd definitely get one, both gone.
Yeah, I'm 1 for 3, and I think I've got. Obviously, I don't book as many trips as you, but I try to book enough that I'll get to go a handful of times. And yeah, last year was really bad. I think I only got out once last year.
I think we went 0 for 7 at one point, right? 7 in a row.
It was bad. That was, I think that was that the year. No, yeah, I think that was that. Yeah, that was last year. Yeah.
It's nothing you can do about it, man. It's
just,
it is a little frustrating.
The one that didn't get blown out that I booked for my, I had 6 or 7 trips. They all got blown out except for one, but that one ended up being too close to the date where Katie was still pregnant and it was going to happen, and I couldn't go. But I did get to go. I think I only went on one trip, and I think it was the one with you and Garrett.
That was a hell of a trip.
My trip
I caught my PB on that one.
Yeah, Joe. Nobody remembers that one. You have to go and catch
I remember it. Wait, you know what? I'm going to show you something.
Chris, I'm surprised you didn't. After that fish, you should just put
see
your
my calendar. Look at my calendar. My December calendar right there. That's my PB from that trip from last December.
Don't you want to increase that to a bigger PB?
Of course, but they need to go out.
You got to book more trips. You got to play the. I got
to hang out with Frank more. I got shitty friends up here.
Yo, Frank, man, this year is hell. Like the cycle is 3 days of wind, and then the night drops the wind drops out at midnight, and it's calm until 7 a.m. and then boop, it's blowing 30 again. You get one good day a week. It's crazy.
All right,
Yeah,
Frank. Before we kill your whole night and ruin everything, I know the show season is starting now. Do you want to promote any of the show? I'm sure you're going to a couple of the shows coming up.
Yeah, I'm doing a couple different things this year. I'm doing the AC Boat Show again on Saturday, and I'm also doing the Wildwood Boat Show this year because they asked me first. You know, they asked me for a bunch of years. I could never do it. Last year I went there, and the Wildwood Show is really cool. So I went there, and I liked it so much that I committed to do it again this year. And here it just so happens the Wildwood Show is the exact same weekend as the Philly Show. So it's like, well, I already committed to do the Wildwood Show, and then I have a charter the other day of the weekend. So I'm doing Wildwood, I'm doing the AC Boat Show, and I might do the Expo. Depends on if I hear back from Todd. I haven't heard from him much lately, so we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get up to the Saltwater Expo again.
Awesome. If you do, we'll probably be there at that one. Frank, I want to thank you so much, as usual, for coming on here and taking the time to talk to us. And I think we do have a trip coming up. Hopefully it gets to go. We have a couple coming. One of them's with Chuck. We have one is with Chuck going blackfishing.
Are you absolutely sure? Frank, do you have Chuck on that trip?
I have you guys plus one, I think.
Yeah.
But Chuck, don't worry, tell Chuck I have a protogger for him.
I think Chuck is not. Chuck usually listens live. I think if he can, but I think he's on a plane right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say this, and he can't, deny it. But I think he's a little bit nervous because he doesn't do a lot of blackfishing anymore. I think he used to do it a little bit, but we did a little bit off of his boat, just kind of on the Sandy Hook Reef, just kind of in between stuff. We've been doing it, and I passed on a couple of pointers that I got from you and from other guys along the years, and but I think he's a little bit nervous about blackfishing, serious black.
I know enough of Chuck. Okay, tell Chuck to show up on the boat. I'll give him a pro togger. I'll tie rigs for him all day. I got everything all set, and he can fish on the other side of the boat next to you.
See,
Joe wants to fish next to me.
I want to be by Frank.
He won't want you to tie his rigs though. He'll want you to just show him whatever the rig is.
I can whatever he wants. I want to make sure I take care of Chuck because Chuck's a good dude. If I go striper fishing, I'm just going to show up on his boat. He can take care of me. So
he's going to try to put a eel on a snafu rig at some point, guaranteed.
Okay, I don't know how that works. It'll probably work.
Frank, hopefully none of those trips get blown out. If we don't talk to you till then, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But yeah, I hope we are fishing together soon. And thank you so much.
I hope so too. And thank you guys for everything you guys do. And you know what? Just really wish everybody, man, a healthy, happy New Year and happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. I hope we all have a great year, and I hope we all get Big Tog in the coming future.
Awesome. Absolutely. And you don't want to ice fish, right? I feel like I'm just going to invite you anyway. No?
Thanks.
All right.
Nah, thanks anyway. It's too cold.
I invite.
We have heated shelters. I can just sit in my shelter and fish.
Dude, I drove up to Chris's house. It took me like 2 hours to get there.
Yeah, that's how long it takes us to get to Cape May.
Dude, you got to go. You got to go another hour up north from my house to find ice.
Oh yeah, ice fish. You're going farther than that.
Far, man. Wow. Then we drove to Rhode Island, and Chris kept getting off the wrong exits. It was an adventure, but that's a story for another time.
It happened like twice.
Thank you so much, Frank.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
All right, you too, bud.
See you. Thanks again.
You got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really hoping, like, if there was one tog trip of the entire year that I don't want blown out, it's that one with Chuck. Me, you, Chuck, and Frank. I'm so excited about that one. And then also, we have another one on Fish and Fever, which I'm always excited for because we know that's the boat where you caught the giant on the first drop, and I got my PB, so that boat's, like, awesome to us. Captain Tom Daffin. And then we have other ones on Legal Limit, which is going to give us more shots at some big fish too.
No, and
those same areas.
I went on Legal Limit, Captain TJ, and I mean, it was awesome. He's great too. I mean,
yeah, they're two. I think they're two of the harder boats to get on. Is Fishing Fever and Legal Limit are definitely not easy, but you can get a weekday when you're lucky or have cancellations.
Yeah,
it is cool. It's an experience. I've blackfished. I love blackfishing on the Fishmonger. You know, even sometimes when it sucks, I still just love fishing on Fishmonger. Don't know, it's just a thing. But
I mean, it's fishing is fishing. It's gonna be tough sometimes. It's gonna straight up suck sometimes, and sometimes it's gonna be great. But if you know you're with a captain that knows what they're doing, and yes, we can tell the difference. You know,
I guess the thing I'm saying is Cape May was that was amazing. Like, I know it's not going to be like that every time, but that one trip was amazing that I said, holy shit, like, this is like, I never saw a double digit in my life in person. And I think that trip I saw two. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
The first one I ever saw was actually on the Sea Owl up here. I didn't catch it. I forget the guy's name. He caught it on jig. That was the first. It was like a 14-pounder. That was the first double digit I saw in person. And that was the year before, I believe. And then, but what I want to say is, like, you can't so you went down there once, and that was my first time down there as well. And then I've now been down there just another twice or once, whatever it was. So I've seen it wasn't that good. The other times it was all right. But, like, my point is, if you get lucky enough to, like, the first time you try something, you have this amazing thing. I mean, for Christ's sake, it was my first drop on my first crab.
It was. I didn't even have the GoPro camera on yet. Like, it was nothing.
No exaggeration. Literally the first crab. I put the crab on, dropped it down, felt a decent hit, kind of pulled the trigger a little bit too early. Almost. I almost set the hook. I did like a quarter hook set and kind of caught myself and dropped it back down. And it came back. Boom. There was the good hit. And I set the hook. I'm bringing up. I was also using, for the first time, my new setup from Jigging World.
Yeah.
So I wasn't used to, like, the cranking power that these things have, the Jigging World Prime reel. And so I'm fighting this fish, and I'm thinking it's just like, oh, it's a nice one. I had no idea, because it's so much easier to fight. You have so much more of an advantage when you're using the right gear. And it came up from 15.5 pounds. Very first drop, first crab.
And you made no like, you were over there being quiet. Like, you didn't even scream fish on. And I just look across the boat, and I saw the net flop this monstrosity over. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I couldn't even believe. Holy shit. Then someone, one of the guys from Fish Finders, hooked over a 10-pound fish on a jig off the back of the boat, and watching them fight that off a jigging rod was just awesome. I mean, the rod was doubled over. It was just cool as hell. But then the other thing I have to say is the structure, because I'm used to, like, we're fishing rock piles or reefs or whatever. And like Frank said, when you're down there, you're fishing the rail cars, these shipwrecks. You pick your sinker up and move it over like 6 inches to put it back down, and it drops another 10 feet, like, into who knows what. Yeah. Then there was a couple times fish took your shit into stuff. It's different. It's definitely an experience to I think this year we have a Delaware one booked, which we've never done.
In the spring,
In the spring. So we're going to try Delaware for the first time ever. But yeah, blackfishing season still, prime for another month, maybe two.
I mean, like, you can't get jaded about, like, that first trip trying something new. It goes for anything, right? And if it's like crazy good, don't let the next time you go, when it's not that good, like, ruin it for you. You know what I mean? Just keep that in the back of your mind as, like, the potential. And then
exactly. And I just have to also say, I almost forgot, 8 Ball Sport Fishing, Point Pleasant. If you're looking for your next 6-pack charter. They are who me and Chris are using now. Very affordable and very flexible. He'll do after work trips. Basically anything you want to do. So call Captain Dom at 8 Ball, Point Pleasant. Next week, we are doing the Christmas special with Jerry Zagorski. We're going to give 2 prizes away. You're going to have a chance to win 2 trips on the episode. A trip with Eddie Mackin's Rip and Lips, a red-eye pass, and also an open pass to the Mimi. So we are going to do that. We're going to recap.
Another good tog boat.
Yeah, you could use that pass to go tog fishing. So next week's episode, you're going to have 2 chances to win. We're not exactly sure yet, but if you're watching it, you'll have a chance to win by answering a question or doing something.
I think we did discuss with Eddie already, so we know how we're going to do it, but we're not going to tell you exactly how we're going to do it because that would kind of ruin it. But what we will say is, so to win any of the prizes, you have to be live watching the show, correct?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to win unless you're watching it live.
And you also have to have been to the Christmas party. Is that how we're doing it?
I don't know. Is that something Jerry
wanted? Originally, the prizes were supposed to be for the Christmas party, but we didn't get the Mimi's pass in time. And then Mackin we were going to have him pull the ticket himself and give the red-eye trip, and then shit got so crazy that we totally forgot, and he didn't want to like jump in and interrupt us, and then it was too late. So I think it's only fair that only Christmas party attendees can win it, if that's cool with you. I know that's how Jerry wanted to do it as well.
Yeah, that's fine. However they want to do it.
So I don't know how we're going to do the Mimi's one yet. Maybe we'll do like a random drawing or something. But for the Mackin red eye trip, we are going to ask a question that it's basically the answer to the question we're going to ask is somewhere posted on Eddie Mackin's Facebook social media, we'll say within the last 4 or 5 months. So it's there somewhere. It's a pretty straightforward question. I'm going to tell you what the question is. That's how we decided we were going to do it. It's fun.
Yes.
So
all right, we'll be back next week to do that. It's not going to be really long, but it'll be a quick one, and then we're going off the air for a week for the holidays. But you're going to have a chance to win 2 trips next episode. Jerry Zagorski will be here to recap the Christmas party. So if you're at the Christmas party, it might be one that you want to watch. So that's it for me. I'm done. Next week, Christmas party.
And if you wished you came to the Christmas party, I guess, would you watch it or would you not? Because it would make you feel bad.
I wouldn't watch it. It's a Christmas special, though. So
yeah, it's fun. All right,
we're done.
Let's go. Suffer for the fish and